What now? I know this comes off. Oh. Once upon a time, not very long ago, AnkerMake reached out to me to ask, would I like to try one of their M5C 3D printers? To which I said, oh, would I? Okay, so y'all know I am like interested in everything. Want to learn everything. Any form of making, creating, I'm there. Some forms of making I find a little more intimidating than others, like crocheting, weirdly enough, and 3D printing. Back when we lived in Orlando, Mac got really into 3D printing for a little bit and made a bunch of stuff, and I basically like stood on the other side of the room and was like, oh, that looks cool, hun. Great job. It looks very technical. And then we had to move halfway across the country to a tiny apartment in New York, so bye-bye to his 3D printer. But yeah, of course I was like, yes, I want to try your 3D printer. And then I kind of, retrospectively was like, I'm gonna have to make something with that. So I started looking through all the specs, all of the details about it, and y'all, I think I can do this. I'm gonna be extra confident and say, I know I can do this. This printer is meant for newbies. It is meant for me. For people who have no idea what they're doing. Perfect! It was like one of the first things I saw is that it's beginner friendly, and that gave me hope. So, guess what's here? Of course it's here. Bam! Oh, you can only see the little one. There's a big one underneath. Okay, that's better. Scissors! Not sewing scissors, I promise. Ooh, okay, so this is the filament. Ooh, it's green. Beautiful. We have this little package. Mysterious. 10-pack nozzle kit. I'm assuming that is something I need. Y'all, it feels like frickin' Christmas. This is unrelated. Whoops. Y'all, we've been getting so many packages lately due to, moving. You never know what you're gonna get on any given day. But I must say this has been the most exciting one in a while. Y'all know my concept of size is terrible, so I still really have no idea how big this thing is. Ooh. It's always comforting when you look at the assembly guide and you're like, yeah, I get this. Oh ho ho. Look at the little toolbox that comes with it. I feel so fancy. I have no idea what this is for, but we're gonna find out. Ooh. You know what? I actually was imagining about the right size. It's got some weight to it. Come to me. Oh, Lord. Yeah, okay, so this is not very many parts, which makes me think assembly is gonna be an absolute breeze. You know what's interesting here is I feel like a lot of times when you see a product that a company is advertising as like for beginners, like for example, I think this happens with sewing machines a lot, the product will kind of look cheaper and not as good. But here we have a product that AnkerMake is advertising as beginner friendly, and y'all, it looks professional. It feels professional. Like, this is so well designed. I've seen 3D printers before and they did not look this good. This like looks cool. It feels like good quality, and it's good for beginners at the same time. We can have it all. Let's put this thing together. Oh, yep. I see the thing. Perfect. And then this goes in. Bam! Screws. This would probably be easier to put together on a table, but you know how we sewists just love working on the floor. We're all little gremlins. Now for whatever this is. Oh, this is to hold the filament. Figured it out.
Ooh, this looks nice.
It does. He's already waiting his turn to use it. We take this off and then we put it back on. Oh, that was it. I was expecting there to be more. Y'all, that took me like 7.5 minutes. So easy to put together. Oh. Okay, now I'm done. I think it's gonna end up going in my office eventually because it just fits the office aesthetic a little bit better than my, carousel horse sewing studio. But for now, perfection. Quick start guide. Okay, I gotta go find an extension cord. I'll be back. Okay, we have power. So to be honest, this is the part of the process where I would normally get really overwhelmed and basically just turn the whole thing over to Matt to figure out. Physical setup, no problem. Technical setup. But AnkerMake has given us a lot of resources to make it beginner friendly and technologically not great friendly. So on the other side of the assembly guide, we have a quick start guide, which prompted me to download the app. So I've done that. The app was super easy. I was able to connect to the printer via Bluetooth, no problems there. And then it has all of that information that you need. Plus you're able to access the Make It Real model library, both through the website and the app. They have great models to choose from and it's so easy to download them. I find this really handy because I am aware that you can just go on various websites and download models and import them into your software, but I've never done that before. So I'd really like to be able to do a test piece and try this thing out without having to go all the way to that level yet. There's also a support section on the app, which was like, perfect. So you can go there and they have not only articles on like everything you need to do, everything you need to know, but also videos. So whichever style of learning is best for you, they got it. So I learned from my quick guide that the next thing that I should do is auto level this thing. I will eventually learn terms, I'm getting there. And I was able to go to the support section and watch a video on exactly how I need to do that. So let's do it, yes. Adjustments, auto level, start. I get nervous when things beep, but it said it would beep, so everything is fine. It's doing things. We've accomplished something. Next step, loading the filament. There it is. Y'all, I think that's it. I think I can print something now. So this printer is high speed, y'all. We're talking 500 millimeters per second as opposed to the 50 millimeters per second of their previous printers. And I had genuinely no idea what that really meant. Like no image in my brain of what that speed is, which is why I momentarily thought I had broken the printer when it started printing this test piece because, oh my goodness, it goes so freaking fast. It also has precision mode though, for those like highly detailed prints where you don't want any blurring or mushing around. You know, like those castle models you always see with individual bricks and little bitty windows? Those need some major precision, and the M5C can accomplish that. You've also got this one big button on the printer that you get to customize according to your preferences. So you can use the app to program what a single click, a double click, or a 3-second hold means on your specific printer. So like if you're printing a bunch of the same model, you can set a single click to mean reprint the last file, so it's as easy as possible to keep things moving along right to the end. Ta-da! I made a boat! That was so fast. This is their like example of how fast it can go. So this whole thing prints in like 16 minutes. Yo, I did it! You know what's really freaking awesome? When I was in college, senior year, I went to USITT, which is like a really big annual theater tech conference. Kind of all live entertainment, like theme parks, cruise ships, they all get involved. I just remember going to this like panel that was costumers from Disney World, and they were talking about how for the whole new parade that had recently opened, they had utilized 3D printing for some of the costumes. They had made like these shell hat headpieces and then like these Celtic inspired buckles for like the Merida section. And I remember sitting there and being like, oh my God, this is so cool. But it all seemed so like big and professional. Like this is Disney World. Of course they can be innovative like that. Of course they can do 3D printing with their costume making. And now it's like, guess who else can do 3D printing with their costume making? Me, somehow. Like, that's so freaking cool. This is not a ridiculously overpriced machine. I'm pretty sure I've seen irons that cost more than this. It's not a ridiculously sized machine, and it doesn't require me to like know how to code or even know how to make the models myself to use it. I can be technologically challenged, which I am, and still make stuff. 3D printing never felt like something that I would be brave enough to mess around with, and here I am messing around with it. So on that note, we've accomplished a test piece, but now we gotta make a project. We gotta make something, you know, even cooler. I had so many ideas. There were so many different things that I want to make, and I'm sure I will try out making in the future. But I thought, because of our proximity to Halloween and my general love of fungi, I'm gonna 3D print some mushrooms. And then we're gonna do a forest witch hat with like leaves and moss and 3D printed mushrooms growing out of it. This requires me to actually find models and import them. So let's go do it. Matt suggested Thingiverse for finding 3D models that I could download for free, so I searched mushroom on there and got tons of results. Downloaded several just to be prepared, and then I headed on over to AnkerMake's website to download the AnkerMake Slicer. I had no idea what slicer meant. Luckily, it was super easy to install, so from there I started importing the mushroom files into the slicer, and there was a bit of trial and error and some more reading of support articles, but I got it all, or at least everything I needed for the moment, figured out in the end. And I was able to airdrop the sliced file, it's called G-code, I think, to my phone, where I could open it in the AnkerMake app and then just hit that print button. We're off to the races! Or the forest floor, to be more on theme. First mushroom done! Just in time for bed. It's so cute! The next morning I started on more shrooms. I wanted a few more of the same type, but in different sizes. And y'all, when I say I'm technologically challenged, I'm not just dumping on myself, like, it's legit. I spent probably like half an hour tinkering around on the slicer and support pages before I realized that to resize a model, you just have to click on it first. Wow, so simple. Okay, while that prints, let's make a witch hat. Since it's a forest witch, I wanted to make the hat in brown, and luckily, I discovered that I have a brown curtain. I'm pretty sure it's a curtain. Curtain? 'Tis a curtain that I thrifted from Goodwill ages ago. And then I thought I would make like a little sash bow maybe around it with this lighter color. I've got interfacing to stiffen the whole thing. And I have never made a hat before. Actually, lies. So last year for Halloween, when I made my batwing dress, I made an entire like bat fascinator to go with it, and it didn't turn out very well, and I didn't end up wanting to wear it, and the video was too long, so I literally just cut the entire thing. I don't think that that experience will help me at all in this situation. I know what I need though. You need like a cone shape for the top, and then you need a circle with a circle cut out for the brim. Seems easy enough, but this feels like there's gonna be math involved. Yeah, it's gotta actually fit on my head. 3.5, 12. That's the brim, simple enough. Perfect. How tall do I want it? How tall should a hat be? How winging it can I wing it here? I have zero guidelines. Yeah? I'm an elf. Winging it wins again. So let us interface profusely. Ooh, the edges are already starting to shred. I just looked at it and it was like, theoretically that is all good. Cool. Let's sew it together. After getting my interfacing ironed on, I sewed the outer edge of the two brim pieces together and then decided it would be best to add wire around the edge. Luckily, I already had some from some past project. Might have been that bat fascinator. I was struggling to cut the wire with my teeny tiny wire snippers, and then I realized that I have been gifted a lovely, sharp, and more human-sized pair with the printer. Huzzah! I gaff taped the ends of the wire together and fully enclosed it, then turned the whole thing right side out, pushing around the entire edge from the inside until it formed a circle again. Perfection! For the cone, I just sewed the edge together, then sort of shaped it a bit at the top, which might be a mistake, but oh well, too late, we're going with it. I turned it right side out and did a fit check, while Matt stared at the printer longingly in the background. Darling, this witch loves mimosas at brunch. By then my third mushroom had finished printing, but it had a bit of trouble sticking on the edges at the very beginning, which is what gave it this curve. So I used the one-click function, holding it down for 3 seconds, to auto-level the plate. Then I started a smaller version of the same mushroom, but I slowed the speed down to 3 times instead of 5 times for the first little bit so that it would stick better. I think that'll work. Back to the hat, I sewed the cone onto the brim, which is just as cantankerous a task as it looks. I don't want the hat to be sticking straight up all perfectly. This witch does not have her together. She has not had the time to starch her hat. So I ran some thread through a bit near the top and pulled it together to make the tip kind of curl over. I added just a bit of stuffing to the very tip to make sure that it holds its shape, and that should do it. For the sash, I sewed the 2 pieces together and then sewed straight down both sides. So now, onto the fun part, purposeful shredding of the edges. Once I liked the look, I wrapped it around the base of the hat and I just hand tacked it down so that it won't move. With all my models printed, I got a bit ahead of myself and primed them before sanding. Feel free to mock my terrible spray painting skills, I know they're bad. I figured it was all good though, because they actually don't need a whole lot of sanding. Only the tops of the shelf mushrooms mostly. I came up with a solid technique to get that smoothed down. Then 'twas painting time! Can you give me scissors?
Yeah.
You're so nice. Ah yes, my least developed skill, which is a polite way to say that I suck at painting, y'all. The shelf ones are sort of a dark cream color with some light browns around the edges and streaks on the stems, and then for the little ones, I'm going full cuteness. Red with white polka dots. I must admit, even though I have no idea what I'm doing with a paintbrush, it's a very relaxing thing to do. I quite enjoyed it, and I do think my little mushrooms turned out pretty decently, yeah? The final step was hat construction, or rather deconstruction, entropy basically, cause I just want it to look like the forest floor is taking over. I got a bunch of moss at Joann, and once I got the shelf mushrooms positioned how I liked it, I basically just went nuts with the hot glue gun until it looked fabulous. I also got some leaves and stuff, but I ended up loving the look of just the moss and the mushrooms. I think she's more of a bog witch than a forest witch, right? Let's take a look at the final product. Oh my god, it's so cute. You know what's cool is I could have shaped mushrooms like this out of clay, but they would have been so heavy that they probably would have started to like crush the hat inward. I haven't used foam clay, but I think even that would have been heavier than the 3D printed models. So this was the perfect thing to use those for, because they're so light and they were so easy to paint. And it's just like, ah, it's adorable. Anyway, so 3D printing, what are my thoughts? It's pretty cool. I definitely got a bunch more ideas while working on this project, so I'm really excited to try them out in the future. Like, y'all, I saw a reel the other day. 3D printed lace. I will overcome my technological difficulties and learn how to like make my own models if the goal is 3D printed lace. That is so cool. But dude, I already gotta give myself a self 5. Because I specifically did not let Matt help me with this entire project. I wanted to make sure that I was figuring things out on my own and learning things on my own and not just going to him for answers like I so often do with anything that has to do with technology. And I freaking did it! AnkerMake is right on the money when they say that the M5C is entry level. It's great for beginners. Like, if I can figure this thing out, I'm pretty sure anyone can. The app was so easy to navigate and use, and while the slicer was like a little more intimidating when I first opened it, all it took was sitting down, giving myself half an hour to play around with it, and I was able to get all of the basics that I needed. And then you just have that one quick operation, one click to slice, one click to print, one click to reprint, one click to auto level. It makes it so easy. One thing I do want to mention is the noise factor, because if you are anything like me, constant noise in the background can be distracting or just like brain fogging. But I must say, first of all, this thing was way quieter than I was expecting. The first night that I used it, I actually went to bed with it still printing because Matt was just gonna turn it off when he got home. And like, my bedroom shares a wall with this studio, but I couldn't hear it in there. So I definitely think I'm gonna move it into a different room from here forward, just so that if I'm printing something and sewing at the same time, it's not right there behind me. But yeah, I'm honestly really impressed. It's like you close one door in front of it and you can't really hear it anymore. So if you are at all interested in 3D printing, if you, like me, are standing across the room staring at it nervously, thinking I'll never have the guts to approach it on my own, then I do highly recommend the AnkerMake M5C. It's not some crazy expensive piece of technology that only master makers can afford. It's not some intensely technological thing that only coders can make work. It is approachable for makers on all different levels. I would love to see how different kinds of makers can incorporate 3D printing into their specific hobbies and their craft styles, so get yourself an AnkerMake M5C and start building your fantasy worlds. Yo, is it weird that I have a 3D printer now and I still don't have a serger? At this point, I do kind of feel like I'm waiting for somebody to gift me one. There's always someone doing yard work. Just kidding,